we're very happy to announce to you that sitting with us is Mr. Carlos Echoes. Yeah. Awesome.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate you being here. For context, this may not be episode 1 of this season, but this is our first film session, isn't it, Jeff?
Yep. First time back filming, and it's weird.
So, have some patience with us here. But yeah, Carlos, first, apologies for canceling on you.
Yeah.
Another one that had
to apologize.
Had to get canceled. We apologize for that. Thanks for coming back.
If it makes you feel better, you're not the only one we've done that to.
Yeah, I know.
So we got a saying about it, and nobody died, so we're in good shape.
No. We're borderline bad reputation. No, I was kidding. So obviously we're here to talk about our Carlos Echoes band, what you're doing currently, but we also want to know your history here in Memphis or where you're from. Let's start there. I see you're from Gainesville, Florida?
Born in Gainesville, Florida, yeah.
Okay.
Mom's side of the family.
All right. When was the move to Memphis?
76, I believe.
Oh, so
not to give my age away.
You've been here a minute.
Well, we're going to ask you how old you are, so we're going to give your age away.
To make you feel worse, there was still 2 years before I was born. So, my bad.
I was 6.
Yeah.
So
teen.
No, we're the same age then.
Yeah. I was born in 70.
Okay.
Yeah. November of 69.
Okay, so you're just a kid coming out to Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And were you playing music at a young age?
No. Didn't start playing music till I was 12. 12.
Okay.
Piano. Started with piano, and then at 14 moved to guitar. And we moved to South America. My dad's from Peru, and we lived in Lima from 84 to 86. And that's when I started playing guitar.
Okay.
Yeah, I was around that age too, 13.
Mm-hmm.
I
think that's normal, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's a great age because you don't have distractions.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have bills and a job and family and all that good stuff.
I picked it up, and I was the one that always had the guitar on the edge of my bed. And like my brother'd leave to go, to games and high school stuff. And he'd leave, be gone for a few hours. And when he'd come back, I'd still be on the bed playing.
Yeah, just be hooked right out of the gate.
Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
Black Sabbath.
Nobody ever mentions Eddie. Guitar players never mention Eddie.
No, none of those names come up ever.
Right.
Kiss.
Oh, yeah.
And not to sound like get off my lawn screaming at clouds, but are there ever going to be kids, do the next generation have their names to lean back on that started their career? It's just the 70s was so impressionable. The 60s, 70s, 80s.
You can't duplicate
and even
it.
into the 90s. Yeah. But it seems like once you got past that, it started to...
Like, let's say my daughter 3 years ago, when she was 12, started playing an instrument. Who can she listen to to inspire her? She's hugely into Billie Eilish, Adele. There was a Justin Bieber phase, all these different things she went through, but none of it was...
They're not instrumentalists.
Yeah, singing.
It's like...
So got her into choir.
The guitar heroes disappeared. Shortly after the 90s.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Now, fortunately, we do still get the drumming here. There's still a lot of amazing drummers up and coming, newer guys. But the guitar heroes just seem to...
I would put Foo Fighters in. Yeah. They've been around for a couple decades, but still they're still carrying that torch.
Sure.
Metallica's still out there, but Foo Fighters came in the 2000s.
Yep.
Great songwriters.
Oh, yeah. I love David Grohl.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
But there's a reason that kids like my son's age, 24 years old, they listen to the shit that I listen to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no new stuff like that.
And you raised them right.
Yeah. Their mom might disagree with that. But yeah. So you said 2 years in Peru?
Yeah, in Lima.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then you came back to the States.
Mm-hmm.
And where'd you come back to?
Back to Bartlett.
Okay. Was your dad in the military?
No. Businessman. He worked for NCR.
Okay. What's NCR?
National Cash Register.
Okay.
He, remember when the ATM machines first started coming out?
Oh, yeah.
He was the one that sold them to South America and got them started with all that.
Okay. That's a big gig.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great.
Well, the first thing I want to do is go back in time.
And this is where Jeff brings the good dynamic here, because I wasn't here. I moved out here in 2011.
Uh-huh.
So Jeff
Yeah.
This
was my hood.
Yes.
What you talking about the Memphis scene?
Yep.
Okay.
The Memphis scene, Gun Down Mary.
Oh,
Got to
wow.
talk about Gun
Rascals.
Down Mary. Because, dude, when I came to see you play, I don't remember how I came upon the Carlos Echoes band.
This is in the 90s? Oh, no,
this is recently.
Okay.
And I saw you up there playing, and I didn't know who you were. And Steve Owens was the one that brought it to my attention. Dude, that's Gun Down Mary. And as soon as he mentioned that, I could see it. But you looked a lot different in those days. You had hair like everybody did.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't your hair like really tight curls? Didn't you have longer, tight, curly?
Yeah, I've got curly hair.
Yeah.
A lot like, I guess, Jake Lee.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly, once he told me who you played for in the day, it registered. Mm-hmm. So I saw Gun Down Mary multiple times. I can't remember how many, and I can't remember much about the era because I did a lot of drinking and partying. Mm-hmm. But you guys were at Rascals, obviously. Mm-hmm. Yep, that was where I hung out the most.
Owner Charlie, and then Haji became the owner.
Yep. And,
lots of great bands back then.
Man, yeah. Did you guys typically play on your own? Did you do a lot of co-bills with other bands? Who were some of the bands you guys did
Son
your
of
thing
Slam,
with? Nice.
TNA, Every Mother's Nightmare. Back then, original music ruled.
Oh, yeah.
And if you weren't in an original band, you didn't get any attention from the girls.
Yeah.
That's all there was
Isn't
to
that
it.
crazy?
Yeah.
No, it's just all. If you didn't play originals, the girls weren't coming out to see you.
Right.
Wow. Things have drastically changed.
But we did play for money. But it wasn't like what like we do a whole 3 sets at Lafayette's and get X amount. It was just a few dollars here and a few dollars there.
Right.
And then you took that money to buy T-shirts and try to get in the studio and get your demos. And
who all was in Gun Down Mary? Give me some names. Run it down.
Mike Dover and I been together for a long time playing music. Straight out of high school in 88, 89. And back then they had a radio station, Malcolm Riker. And on Sunday, I believe it was Sundays, he'd do a Memphis local, play their songs. And then he'd also have like a connection. Oh, call me if you're looking for a band, if you're a guitar player and needing a drummer, if you're, such and such. And that's how Dover and I met.
Okay.
And then Matt Floyd came in from Little Rock. And the three of us were, working, trying to get something together, trying to figure out who we wanted to be as musicians and what kind of band we wanted. And then eventually Neil, Matt from Little Rock said, hey, this guy from Little Rock, he's the best singer for this band. And we went and saw him at the Daisy in a band called Onyx. And we approached him immediately and stole him.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Rascals has to be where I saw you guys. I know you had to do some stage stop shows.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Night Moves.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Night Moves, stage stop.
That's constantly coming up in the show. It's great.
Now, are all those guys from that time, from that band, are they still playing music as well? Are you still in touch?
Dover just released a record.
Okay.
So
cool.
I don't know what Matt's doing, and Neil's in New Orleans.
Okay.
So,
have you got any recordings of Gun Down Mary's stuff? Still?
I've got one at the house that's recent. We tried to put it together.
Okay.
So, we'll get their permission to see if we can get it mixed down and go from there.
Nice. Okay. Well, if you ever get that out,
now I'd love to hear it's all on cassette. That's how old we are.
Oh, yeah.
It's all on cassette.
Yeah, everything was cassette.
It could be 8-track, so you're one step above that.
So when did you decide to put together the Carlos Echoes band?
Gun Down got offered several record contracts.
Okay.
And Geffen, and that was Roxy Blue that helped us with that.
Nice.
They had just signed with Geffen, and they were so gracious. Todd Poole's always been good to us, that they did their record showcase at Night Moves, and for whatever reason, he picked us to open up the show, and knowing all the label reps and the A&R is going to be there.
Right.
So that got us attention. And then Pat Mitchell, she's a big, Memphis music advocate. She hooked up us with, what was his name? Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses.
Oh, Taylor?
The A&R. No, the A&R.
McGee? What was his last name?
Doc McGee.
Doc
That's
McGee.
it. That's it. And we did a showcase, and it just, it was supposed to be for $1 million.
Yeah.
It was a $1 million offer, and
I mean,
we just couldn't get it together. I guess someone in the band got nervous.
Really? Oh my goodness!
And then we got 2 other offers. I forgot Ira Jaffe. That name sounds familiar. It was an indie label, I guess. Maybe Giant Record. We got 2 or 3 offers that weren't anywhere near what the Geffen offer was, or that we were shooting for.
So before, like you said, someone may have got nervous. when you can speak for the band, but also yourself, Carlos. When you're getting this information and seeing this in front of you, what does that feel like?
I don't remember thinking too much about it personally.
Really?
I think it's because it was such short notice for me.
Yeah.
Like, I think a couple of the guys in the band knew what was going on, and then I didn't find out about it until that early that morning. And we had played the night before. And we did just a private thing at Rascals where Haji came and opened the doors for us. And it was like Sunday at about this time, like 11, 12, 1 or 2. From what I remember, you know, it's 30-something years ago.
Sure.
And they said, hey, you know, we're showcasing in front of Doc McGee. Get here at such and such. And I just remember, you know, we didn't have cell phones back then.
Right.
So I was on the cord phone, you know.
Yeah.
Was Doc McGee's name as iconic as it is now? Was he just known as the guy
Motley
still?
Crue and Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. So, but
was it Kiss too, wasn't it?
I believe.
Don't get me to lie, I don't know.
I think there was a period where he came in. Maybe when they put the paint back on. I don't want to misinformation that, but so yeah, that's a big deal. Doc McGee in Memphis at Rascals. I mean, it's just that shows how Memphis was on the map.
Oh yeah,
in a big way. So you do the showcase. What was that like? Playing in front of, because was it him and just a few other guys?
I don't want to get too into it, but it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't get through the first song.
No kidding.
Really?
And that
because of nerves?
Not mine.
Yeah. But somebody had nerves. Look,
yeah, I guess.
Man, as someone who struggled with stage fright, it's hard to believe I can even play at this point in front of people. So I got all kinds of love for anybody who struggles with that and has that issue. But that's tough to have that kind of an opportunity.
You know, and I've never spoken of it before in any interview. So, but I guess it needs to get out.
Yeah, and we're happy to we can edit it out.
There's been a lot of people in here that get vulnerable and talk about stuff. You know, when we had Chris DeBaldo, he went deep on the back half of when things were falling apart for him. And, you know, it's cool, man.
Okay, yeah.
This is a safe space
on the road.
Yeah.
And you know, I look at it now as everything happens for a reason.
Sure.
You know, we could have died in a plane crash.
Right.
Been hooked on all kinds of drugs. Everything was available. We lived like rock stars.
Oh, brother, I remember. I saw it all at Rascals.
We had everything that rock stars have, but the money.
Yeah.
But we were still riding around in limos and all the rich folks.
You're getting courted, right?
Yeah. We were treated like royalty. And now that I look back on it, I was like, why?
But
we just play music.
Yeah,
you know?
But dude, it was an amazing scene here. It was incredible, you know.
Jeff, real quick, with the stage fright thing, have you ever felt uncomfortable being in front of these cameras?
Not really.
That's great. That's
this
pretty
is
cool.
Different, you know.
Very cool. I'm just wondering that because when you and I did our first little film thing that goes way, way, way back before we even had this idea, you were natural at it. Yeah. So do you still feel a little nervous for
when
gigs?
I play? A little bit.
Really?
But it's nothing like it used to be. You know? I remember, don't want to make this show about me. It's about you. But
I opened it up, Jeff.
But I got an opportunity at Rascals back in the day to get up on stage and jam with, I don't even remember who it was now because I was completely fucking mortified.
Watch your language.
And it was terrible. It was a disaster. I had a moment of just, what am I doing up here? And can I really do this, you know?
I don't remember ever being like that. I've always took the Sebastian Bach approach to it. You know, if you think, you stink. Yeah. So I just never think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Never thought about it that way.
Those Rascals stories, they go on and on forever.
I heard there was quite the staircase in there, right? That you had to
have a roadie. It was mandatory to have a roadie back then.
Did your bass player have a full 810 cab and peg?
No, he had that custom. You know, it looked like it was a pillow, the pillow fluffy
I'm not familiar.
cabinet.
Oh, the
base-
cushion around
Yeah.
it. Yeah, with like the plasticky kind of vinyl
And
looking.
it was just cheap. It was like you got it at
Yeah.
the pawn shop for $79.99. And it worked though.
Yeah, sure.
And he had a BC Rich bass, which didn't, I was always into the traditional, the guitar, the Les Pauls and the Strats.
Mhm.
And that's what I played back then. I still do today, but
You weren't into like the Jacksons and the Stradivarius and
no,
all that stuff.
I was trying to get rid of all that.
And then, but yeah, your bass player has a BC Rich.
Yeah. and it had that thing, and I called it the plow.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, he had the plow.
Oh, is it the Warlock?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
But it sounded great.
Sure.
You get, a $40 bass guitar and a $70 amp, and it sounded great.
Sure.
Yeah. And sometimes the number doesn't matter. There's you get what you pay for, but on the other end of the spectrum, I have a Sterling Music Man. Sounds amazing. I don't need the $3,000 version.
And one of the girlfriends of the band, she was always trying to help him. Like, oh man, let's, we'd open up for somebody, and like maybe the Nightmares, and she'd walk up to the bass side of things and talk to their bass player,
Mhm.
and she'd point at his amp. She'd go, "Look, can he borrow yours?"
Oh man, inferior, right?
She was the one that came up with the name, Samantha,
Nice.
Mike Dover's girlfriend.
Well, I was telling
And-
Derrick before you got here, that's one of my favorite band
it-
names
it-
of all time.
Which one was it? You told me to. I'm sorry, I'm spacing out.
Son of Slam?
Son of Slam.
Yeah.
Yes, Son of Slam is. You add one letter,
And it changes
bam,
everything.
and it's a
Yep.
cool name. Yeah.
They were Uncle Slam at first.
Okay.
And then I think someone got signed. That's why I wanted to bring Bubba. He knew all about that.
I got you.
Uncle Slam could be creepy, right?
Uncle Slam.
Well, you brought up gear. So what guitars do you play? What's your go-to now?
Strat.
Strat?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because after Gun Down Mary, I moved to Austin, Texas in 95 and
Okay.
lived there till 2000. And
What brought you out there?
Just music.
Okay, just 6th Street, kind of going out to that scene.
Mm-hmm. Babes, Steamboat, and was it Antoine's? What's it? The legendary Blues Cub.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I've visited Austin
That
once
was
in my
neat.
early 20s, and it's very foggy. I'll just say.
Many, many beers ago.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, but okay. So what was that experience like in Austin?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
Music was still bumping. I got out there. It took a little while. I had to start as a bass player because there were so many guitar players out there.
Did you borrow your buddy's BC Rich?
I traded a guitar, one of my Strats for a Fender P bass with at Ray Hennings.
Can't go wrong.
Where
Can't go wrong.
Stevie Ray, used to do all his shopping and put his number one together.
Mhm.
Right.
Shout out to Sean Few. I know he's listening.
Mm-hmm.
P bass, brother. He's into the P bass thing heavily.
Yeah, you
It
can't go
sounds
wrong with
amazing.
that.
Can't go wrong with P bass.
And I just got on the circuit, and it just kept going.
Yeah.
We were playing all the time. We'd do 2-3 shows in Austin, then go to Waco, then to Dallas, come on back to Austin, go to Houston, San Marcos, San Antonio.
And that's Texas for you.
Mhm.
I mean, you can have a full career in
That's
that
just
state.
a couple
Yeah.
hours from each city. You didn't have to.
And Austin is pretty central, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, like you said,
It's its own little country.
Yes, and there's a lot of indie country grassroots type of bands out there that just circle the state,
Right.
and they do very well.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Came back because my grandmother was not doing well, and I just wanted to be with her. So that's when, in 2000, I came back
Okay.
to Memphis.
Okay. So then, what was your next thing once you got back?
I didn't have a pot to piss in.
Nice. That's a bad place to be.
Yeah.
And I was living right there at Madison McLean, right across the street from the old Neils. And I
Okay.
owe him so much. He took care of me. Daddy Neil took care of me. I didn't have a gig. I didn't have a band.
Wow.
I'm starving. I go walking across the street at Neil's just to introduce myself, just to see if I can get anything. And he said, well, I had a band cancel tonight. Can you put something together?
There
And I
you go.
said, sure. And I called Bubba John and I called Kelly and I said, are y'all gigging? They said, no, I need some money too. And Neil gave me, he saw me so skinny. I think I was like 165 pounds, And he said, eat you a sandwich, boy.
But
come on
that's
back
so
and
good.
play.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
You know, and it never hurts to ask.
Nope.
Yeah.
You know, you never know.
But it took off from there. I got started there, and then the Blue Monkey hired me, and then back on Beale Street at Hard Rock.
Nice.
Okay.
That's a really cool story about Neil, because we're always talking about this community and how it steps up and helps one another, and people always playing benefits, and Neil's is always allowing people to put on benefits.
Yes.
So Neil, thank you.
Yeah.
He's always
So
good.
how long did it take for you to get that pot to piss in?
Oh, I think it's about 6 months.
Oh my God, 6 months. Yeah. But that's great, you know, and,
Well,
and
you know.
started getting your footing and just getting back in the groove. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Was there a specific project that is next in the timeline as far as Jeff? You know,
I'm sorry, I spaced out. Squirrel.
we're even. We each got one.
So
right.
restart that. Or were you asking me a question?
Oh, here we go. New sound. Oh,
It just blew up.
the show has come to a screeching halt. That's why I got those new sounds.
Oh God!
But it's more of a question to Carlos.
Okay,
I
I told you, man, I was completely spaced.
it was kind of throwing you under the bus. So,
Okay.
is there a next main project that comes to be instead of just kind of asking friends to come jam?
No, not. You know, that's the way I've always done it, and I learned that in Austin. You know, I get the gigs, I get the money, and you're always going to have musicians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The secret to it was make sure that everyone knows your material. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, so
You know, we can do that now through the internet. Hey,
Sure.
here's my records. Here, you know, see me on Bookface.
So are you
See me
still
on
doing
YouTube.
original music here, or now you're breaking into covers at all?
No. I mean, you have to do covers nowadays.
But even then,
Yeah.
right? Like when you're over at Neil's and he's feeding
Yeah,
you.
I was playing. You know, I always add at least 2 or 3 originals per set.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you know, you got to throw those covers in now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's changed.
More now than ever, for sure. You know, pepper and an original
You
here and
can't
there.
keep up with it. You won't. You can't stay in the game if you don't play covers. now.
Right.
Oh,
It's
for sure.
completely the opposite. Back then, you might have 2 covers
Yeah.
and the rest originals. Now you might have 2 originals and the rest are covers.
Yeah. And even then, you might lose attention.
Oh yeah.
Just like a bass solo, people going to the bathroom. Just kidding.
No.
So when does Carlos Echo's band start building up?
In Texas.
Okay. So you've always been going by the Carlos
and they
Echo's
took
band.
me under their wing. The
Okay.
same people that taught Stevie Ray Vaughan how to conduct and run bands took me under their wing. And W.C. Clark, remember
Nice.
in Triple Threat Review,
Mhm.
he would, after my gigs, he'd make me come over to his house. We got to give you some lessons. We're going to teach you how to this, and we're going to teach you how to do that. And I'd sit on his amp.
Dude, that's invaluable.
Yeah.
And I'd sit there, and he'd say, "You need to work on your passing tones, and then, hey, you know, work on your nines, and yada yada yada." And it'd be 3 and 4 in the morning, and you'd hear a knock on the door, and he'd go to the door real quick, and it'd be like the most beautiful college girls sitting there waiting. Hey, WC, can you come out for a little bit? Hey, go away! I'm giving a lesson. Come back tomorrow.
Dedication.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Did you not say, sir, I'd like to answer the door?
I'll get the next one.
So for any listeners or viewers that is not familiar with you and your music and your band, how would you describe your set lists? What are you
I guess
playing?
Americana, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, you do a lot of Santana,
Mhm.
right? So and you have a percussionist, right? And keys
From
So-
time to time.
and
you know.
bluesy. So you guys do a lot of jamming,
Yeah,
right?
blues is our main influence.
Yeah.
The foundation of this project is blues based.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then we just kind of branch off from there. 60s and 70s rock and roll.
Mhm.
Love
Yeah.
Tom Petty.
Yeah.
You know, all of it. You know, Cream, Bob Marley, Clapton,
Right.
and all the blues, you know.
Mhm.
One of my favorites is Buddy Guy.
Okay.
Okay.
What songs do you do?
Oh, as far as Buddy Guy,
Yes.
T-Bone Shuffle, Man of Many Words,
Okay.
stuff
Yeah.
I can try to sing. He's got that unique voice, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, you must have fun though once it breaks into the solo sections, right?
Mhm.
And your band behind you is amazing.
They are.
They're great.
They're great at the jam.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they just give you that nice background and foundation for you to do your thing.
Well, and let's throw their names out and give them some love.
Oh, I've got so many. Brian Ayler, of course, and then Bubba John Bonds.
I'll shout out to Brian, dude. You rock.
Okay, so help me out.
Drummer.
Brian, drummer. Okay.
And then Bubba John fills in for him when he can't make it.
Okay.
Okay.
I have not seen you with Bubba John. I will have to make that happen.
Okay. It changes the setup a little bit. but
Okay.
It's more, it turns more rock, I guess.
Okay.
Kelly McDonald, Michael Morales
What's Kelly do?
plays bass.
Okay.
And then Michael Morales, and then Leo Goff. See, I got a handful of all kinds
Because
of
you
musicians.
have another bass player, right? What's his name? He comes in from out of town sometimes.
Oh, Billy.
Billy Little.
Billy
Yes.
Little.
Billy Little.
Mr. Thrust.
And then Ethan Vaughn.
That sounds funny.
Ethan Vaughn. So that's the secret that I have is that I work with these guys, get them known, and then if one guy can't make it, just pick up another one.
Gotcha.
Same thing with keyboard players. Mark Ross is primary, but I got Russ Wheeler and then Dave Pierce,
Okay.
Nice.
And who's the gentleman on the percussion?
Hector.
Hector.
I can't find him.
Can't find him.
I don't know where
Hector.
he went.
So he's been missing some gigs, has he? Or-
Yeah. Well,
Carlos is searching for you,
Yeah.
Hector.
Are you
Hector.
out there?
Mano, ¿dónde estás? No, he was supposed to go back to New York, so I don't know what he's got going on.
Okay. So right now you don't have percussion.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
I can hit things.
Well, come on.
Yeah.
So I squirreled when you said Mr. Thrust.
Mr. Thrust.
I mean, if that's not a porn title, I don't know what is.
We've talked about Thrust plenty of times on this podcast.
Oh my God. But my pea brain just went in that way. So I barely heard what you all just said.
You'll have to watch.
What are some of the venues you play currently?
Now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lafayette's, Sidecar, both of them, the one out here or the one down the street, Witten, Hadley's every now and then,
Okay.
and the casino gigs.
Oh,
All
what
right.
casinos? Horseshoe?
No, the one over there in West Memphis.
Oh,
Southland.
Southland.
You play that little stage?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that's brutal.
I haven't been over there.
It is. It's like you're on a pedestal. It's so
Okay.
small, and I drag in my big ass 410, and the only place I could put it was behind the PA stack, facing directly to me.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only way it would work. With the drummer behind me, facing sideways.
I bet he appreciated it.
I was like, damn, I can hear myself pretty good now. Anyways, that's a crazy little stage.
Yeah,
But,
it's fun, and I'm grateful to have it.
I know I've seen you guys do several benefits. Do you ever play Neil's as a show, or is it strictly
No,
you do
I haven't
benefits?
played there in
No?
a while.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
All right.
but you guys do step up for a lot of benefits though. So
Yeah, we at least try to do one or two a year.
yeah.
Just
Good on you. It's
Mhm.
great.
They help us, we help them.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
So what's the future look like with the band? Just going to keep trucking along?
Yeah,
and
we just do it for fun. If it's not fun, we don't do it.
So what would you say about 3 to 4 a month? Or are you
No.
busier than
If
that?
we do one a month, that's fine. Because me and the drummer, we are already working 8 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I got an 11-year-old, and
right.
Okay.
I said don't turn it back into a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Well, you brought me a couple of discs, which I much appreciate.
Yes,
I don't
yes.
know if people can see them, but there's a
Yeah.
nice.
And I've got
This
another
is-
one, but I ran out.
Yeah. And any plans to do any more recording?
Mhm.
Or you kind
I'm doing it right now. I've got 2 that I'm about to finish up and give to Twinkie, and he's coming
To
in from
who?
Tampa. Twinkie,
Twinkie.
Matthew Dowden. He's
How does one get the nickname Twinkie?
I don't know.
There's
Twinkie?
got to be a story behind
How
this.
did you get that name?
My pea
Twinkie?
brain just went left again.
Yeah.
No, he's master at Pro Tools. And
Okay.
He been working with me for years. So
Shout out to Twinkie. Good job, buddy.
He's got his own studio.
Mhm.
Okay.
Pro Tools.
Okay.
In Memphis.
No, he lives in Tampa now.
Okay.
Okay.
So he's coming in to visit in June, and he's going to pick up these songs and
Nice.
and start working.
So
on
do you have a home setup where you can record and throw
yeah,
tracks?
I run Pro Tools.
And you just fly tracks to
Nice.
them. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's really the way now is just flying tracks back
You
and
don't
forth.
need to
and-
spend
No.
all that money. Just
No.
you really don't.
yeah.
And dude, I know about that much about Pro Tools, and I really need to go hang out with somebody like you.
No,
and
I don't
try to
either.
learn
He
something.
just
He just invited himself to your house,
Yeah. Come
on.
Carlos.
Let's do it.
one song at a time.
I don't know either. You
Yeah.
know, my engineering world is strictly podcasting. It goes as far as that.
Mhm.
You know, so Yeah, I admire these producers and engineers out there that just make things sound so great and beautiful.
make it look so easy.
Yeah.
It's not.
Like David Kyle. David Kyle's one, right? Out there. Shout out to him.
Jimmy Fault.
Oh, Jimmy Fault. Yes.
Jimmy's a great guy.
Jimmy
I love Jimmy to death.
Where are you? Oh, well, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, first film session in 2 months. So.
Yeah, Sean Few recently did some AI work with Area 51 guys, and that Jimmy Fault is sexy. That dude,
yeah.
He gave him hair. Yep, it's pretty awesome.
Oh, this is the one I was looking for. All right, Jimmy, this one's for you. He loves that sound. Anyways, enough of my bromance with Jimmy Fault.
We leaving anything out you want to talk about, Carlos?
Just, more of the Rascals stuff was interesting.
Yeah.
Rascals was so popular.
Indeed.
We would go to see shows. Like we went to see Alice in Chains open up for Ozzy Osbourne.
Nice.
And that was when, I don't know if you remember, Lane had broke his ankle or something, and he was in a cast.
Okay.
Came out and, sat down, I think, on a wheelchair. I don't remember exactly. But after they got through playing, I went looking for them, thinking they were wandering around, and I found them. And I remember speaking to the drummer and saying, hey, there's a place called Rascals. We're playing up there after, Ozzy gets done. Because Rascals didn't get started till midnight.
Right.
Okay.
The first band went on at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
When did everything stop? Did this go until like 5 in the morning?
Dude, I woke up and left that place many days.
The sun would be coming up.
And serving alcohol the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I don't remember them stopping.
They stopped at 3 and then they'd pull out the bottle. And then you
just put it off to the side. And there you go.
Yeah.
That's a good loophole.
Now, I saw Alice in Chains at Night Moves.
Mm-hmm. That's the first time.
Yeah, okay.
When they opened up for Extreme.
Disturbance opened up for Alice in Chains.
So was Alice in Chains really just kind of a no-name band at that point?
Oh, they came back.
Okay.
Right, the first time they played with Extreme.
I did not see that show.
And then they were supposed to come back the following year, and they had to cancel. And then the third year, they came back and did a free show.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you're talking
Disturbance
about.
opened up for them.
That's an odd mixture of Alice in Chains and Extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a transition period of music.
For sure. So that first one, Alice in Chains, really just nobody's like,
nobody knew who they were.
Right. Yeah. That new movement has not really hit yet.
And I'd been preaching to the Gundown before, right before we started playing, and we were doing rehearsals and figuring out who we were. And I wanted to go heavier. I didn't want to do all this, John Jovi and Twisted Sister. We didn't want to do all that. I want to do something heavier, more than the Sabbath,
Right.
Yeah.
And then I saw them, and I was like, I don't know. And Dover loved them, and Matt loved them. Everybody else loved them. It took me a minute to go, oh, yeah, that's what I've been talking about. What am I, an idiot?
You mean for Alice in Chains? Yeah, I was the same way. It took me a minute to catch on, but once I did, I was enthralled.
Yeah.
Well, I got them there at Rascals, and they pull up with their tour bus, and Ozzy's band's with them too. Randy Castillo.
Oh, wow.
Zach Wilde.
Was Tommy,
and they come
Tommy in the band? Eldridge?
Aldridge? No, this would have been after him.
It was Carlos. Was it Randy Castillo or Carlos Castillo?
Randy.
Was it Randy?
I think that's right.
Okay.
A really good drummer.
Yeah.
And they all come, I'm like, we're all starstruck, and we're playing.
Yeah.
And I look over at Zach and Lane. I said, let's do Paranoid, or let's do NIB from Black Sabbath or something. And they're like, yeah. And I got them up on the stage, and I was ready to play.
Zach Wilde and Wayne Staley?
And I was going to play with them. And then the bass player came up. I forgot, Michael Starr, I believe his name.
Yep.
And then Castillo got behind the drums, and I said, cool, I'm going to jam with the big boys.
Hell yes.
And then I get a tap on my back, and it's Ronnie Cantrell.
Who is?
The guitar player for Alice in Chains.
Oh, what am I saying? Cantrell.
And I'm like, if it were me now,
embarrassed.
If it were me now, I'd say, let me just play one.
Jerry
Cantrell.
I'm sorry. And
he said he was like, nuh-uh.
Well, no, it wasn't like that.
No,
but
he seems like
he was ready. He was wanting to, show off and play and everything. I said, let me just do. I didn't ask him, because I was so starstruck.
Right.
I was like, well, here's my guitar.
Damn it, perfect.
But
that's such a bummer, man.
I think Neil got up, the singer, and got and did a song with them, and then Josie Scott got up and did a song. But they were in Blackbone at that time. That was before Saliva.
Yep. Remember those
Yeah, with
days,
Chris
too?
DeBaldo
Mhm.
was in that one. Yes.
And Rudy Forrester,
Mhm.
Yeah.
dear friend of mine. Still, him and Bubba are roommates, I think. Bubba John.
Okay.
Mm.
Gotcha. And shout out to Bubba John. He was going to be here with you today. And,
Yeah,
and
but work.
he had to work and it couldn't
That's
make
right.
it. So we will reach out to him separately and get him in here to talk about Son
Yeah,
of
because I'm sure
Slam.
he's got a lot of different stories than I had.
Yeah.
No, they actually signed a deal.
With who?
Oh,
Remember?
Get me the lion.
Putting you right on the
Trailer
spot.
Parks, Politics, and God.
Huh?
That was the name of the record.
That's a good one.
Wow.
Trailer Parks, Politics, and God.
That covers quite a
Everything.
bit. It covers some big ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of it fills up the CD case for sure.
You know, it's cool you said that he has some different stories than you. What we have found is you can interview guys from the same band and they have different stories.
Sure.
Yeah, but
Because
they
it's-
took a totally different path
Yeah.
after they got signed.
I mean, we got Keith Douglas and John
And I was
Patterson in
in-
here from
and I
Tora
was-
Tora.
I was
Different
in-
perspectives.
Yeah.
And I was in the studio with them, with Eric Lewis, because Eric Lewis was one of my mentors, still is, the guitar player. And then even the original guitar player, Fred Thompson, him and I always hung out and played music together.
Right.
So it was a privilege to be able to be in the studio with them
Yeah, I
while they
bet.
recorded that record.
I mean, you were here through all the prime phases, right? Minus Elvis and Stax
Right.
Records and all this stuff before you. Were you ever into Elvis?
Yeah,
Stax, you know, Jerry Lee Lewis, the Sun Studios guys. What was
Absolutely.
was that in your lexicon when you were young?
No, that happened older. Booker T and the MGs.
Yes.
You know, because I remember Chris Scott always, you need to get into these guys. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I will.
Yes.
And I did.
Yeah. Big fan of Duck Dunn.
Absolutely.
Early on, he was one of my early influences when he was in the Blues Brothers.
If I'm not mistaken, don't get me the line, but I think Kelly has one of Duck Dunn's basses. I don't know. I don't want to lie, but maybe I dreamt it.
I think Derek
Maybe
wants
I
to get that
misheard.
person in here.
Yeah, I want to see it. For sure.
I'll double check.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but for some odd reason that just popped in my head. I think because he's got one bass that's just worth a fortune, and it might be that one.
And because he's tracked for so many other artists, that could have been the bass that he did everything on. You know?
Sure.
But don't get me the line. I don't know. I can't verify that.
we only speak facts here, man. I mean, what are you doing? There's no BS in this show. Well, great, man. Look, before we close this up, like Jeff said earlier, are we missing anything? Is there anything like you'd like to add? Any kind of story you have?
Are you married?
Yes.
Well, you might want to mention her,
Yeah.
or your ass is going to be in big trouble when you get
My
home.
wife, Becky Penlack. I'm
Okay.
married to Brian Penlack's sister.
Okay.
That's
And
right.
then
Yep.
Mila, my daughter, Mila.
You ever jam with Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do, holidays together. And he's got everything set up at the house. So I just, sit in and play. And then his son is dating Sarah.
Spain?
Yeah.
Oh, very
So
cool.
she'll play music
Man,
with
quite
us
the
too.
lineage going on
Yeah.
through
She'll
here.
play music
Yeah.
with us too.
So
Yeah.
what does he play? Brian's son. Does he play any instrument?
Yeah, he plays drums.
Okay.
Okay. Very cool.
Cool guy. Already like him.
Yeah, no shit. And especially, Brian being a bass player. I know he can play
And
guitar
Brian plays
too.
drums well also.
Okay. But he
Okay.
can jam with his son. That's really cool. That must be very cool. Yeah. My daughter can sing Justin Bieber, so kind of out of the loop on the new Billie Eilish album dropped. So
Who?
for so I'm going to be living with that album for the next 6 months in the car.
Fun.
Yeah. And I just let her listen to whatever she wants. I just fly, And she's been on a huge musical kick because now she's in theater in high school and all that fun stuff. And man, the music in this stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
If you really listen to the instrumentation. But anyways, well, Carlos, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.